coils for cost. The front drive on it is available with a magneto also. Of course, it costs more money. Everything you do costs more money. So we were trying just to build something as cheap as we could, and hopefully it would be competitive on a short track. And so far, from Tony's feedback and Don's feedback, it looks like it'll do that. So we thought we'd just show it to you guys and you track owners, and maybe you guys want to take and do something with it. Maybe you don't, but it is able to be made and it'll last quite a while, we think, without spending a lot of money.
Well, I'm the new guy here. I just want to say I'm honored to be between these two guys. This is my first time in Knoxville, and I've enjoyed working with Ron on this project. What I bring to the project is some familiarity with the LS engine and some of the part availability. And that first handout that we sent out, that we passed around, I think we looked at that little paragraph. That's the thing that struck me is, for the first time in a long time, you got a production engine that basically meets a significant number of the criteria that you want for a sprint car motor. It's light enough weight. This motor, as it went on Ron's dyno, was 348 pounds, I believe. So with an alloy block and aluminum heads, and it's got the power potential to make decent power for not to a 410 level, but for a sprint car to run to a level where the driver is driving something fairly significant. Just to go through the parts, and I didn't save the list of the items that we sent out to your tables, but basically the short block is an LS9 block. That's the one they use in the Corvette Z06. It's an aluminum block with pressed in steel liners. It's got steel 6-bolt main caps. It runs $2,800. That's your dealer to get one of those. The rotating assembly is steel cranks, steel rods, mounting pistons that were made for us because they don't currently make a high compression piston for it. But anybody could make the piston. You could use a Weisco, a JE, CP, or whatever you choose as your source. The block has minimal modifications. It's still got the shell bearings in it that you would run like in a production engine. It doesn't have any bearings in it. The heads are, in this case, on this engine, basically L92 LS3 style heads. Those are production rectangular port heads that GM makes. We CNC ported them. We use stock LS3 Corvette valves, which are steel valves. The inlet is a hollow stem, the exhaust is solid stem, but they're fairly lightweight because the stems aren't as long as some of the other race engine valves. Uses stock GM steel rocker arms with a bearing and trunnion upgrade to increase the durability and the stiffness of the piece. And that's a fairly inexpensive kit from Count Cams. As Ron said, it's got a hydraulic roller cam. They're short travel hydraulic lifters. The valve springs are dual coil valve springs that are Count designed that are in the catalog, and the attendant retainers and locators that go along with that. The intake system, as we discussed, we targeted it to be fairly inexpensive, so we used a 4-barrel manifold, which is available out of the GM parts catalog, modified it so we put constant flow injectors in it, sat a large, like a 4500 style throttle body on it with a barrel valve, so that it would feed the injectors and from a functional standpoint work like an 8-stack, but obviously doesn't look like an 8-stack. The ignition system is, as Ron said, the production coils. Uses the MSD 6LS box, which is a catalog piece that they sell. It uses the crank and cam triggers that are stock on the engine, and then it fires the coils. It does require a small battery. We've got a 12-amp hour battery in the car to power the ignition. That should last the evening of running, but you have to obviously make sure you keep it topped off. For the pumps, we tried to make the installation as compatible as we could with the current car and a current 410, so the pump drive off the rear of the cam is configured so it'll work just as your normal raised cam small block does. We modified a stock front cover to put the oil pump on the cam and put the water pump on the crank. So that part of it's fairly familiar to all of you. And basically, the motor will bolt into a current car with minimum modifications. The current motor plate can be used. You have to have a different slip yoke to attach it to the driveline because the crankshaft configuration on the rear is a little bit different. For cranks, you can use a Callies, you could use a Comp or a Scat or an Eagle or a K1 or a GM LS9 crank, cut the nose off of it, 900 thousandths, use that. So there's a lot of options there. So the price estimate floats around a little bit. Donnie's, I think, 13.8. I kind of got it up to about 15.5 in the